to the Carson City Culture and Tourism Board meeting. It's October 8th at 4 p.m. Linda, can we get a roll call, please?
Mike Briggs.
Present.
Mike Jones.
Present.
Mike Santos.
Present.
Karen Aboud.
Here.
Stu Wexler is absent. We have a quorum.
Great. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. This time I'll ask for any public comment. If there's anyone out there that would like to speak. Seeing no public comment, we'll move on to action item 5, approval of minutes from the September 10th, 2018 CTA board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passed. We'll move to item 6. Anybody see any reason to move the agenda items around or to take them out of order or leave them in order? I don't think there's any reason, so we'll keep them in the order they are in. So let's move on to action item 7, to approve the adjusted CTA fiscal year 19 budget report. Joel?
In your package, you'll have the first budget report for fiscal year 19. Once again, as covered last meeting, we'll bring back the closing fiscal year 18 when we get our audit report, and that'll more than likely happen in November. Going through, looking at the first one, so this is reflective of 17% of fiscal year 19 lapsed. Room tax revenue payments received by 8/31, so this is only reflective of July's transient occupancy tax, only 1 month of the fiscal year. Bottom line, you look at all revenues, what we've budgeted in the first column, fiscal year 19 budget, we anticipate just over $2.1 million in revenue, and that's including room tax revenue, grants of $30,000, interest income, and the interest income for both of the V&T projects funds. Currently, we've brought in $214,000. That's reflective in room tax collections and also the interest income of $1,866.52, $699.94, and $1,322.12, respectively, for all of the interest income between the CTA and both of the project funds for the V&T. Intergovernmental, reflective of that again on page 2. We have not made any of the intergovernmental. You'll see that come back and it'll catch up on the next month. Going down for salaries and benefits, once again, this is just reflective of 17% of the year, currently at 9.8%, coming at $54,565.73. You can see we've budgeted $557,602.13 is what was turned into Department of Taxation. Next page. Going down, we'll go through each one of the professional services first. 13.8% of budgeted, coming in at $37,243 and a penny in expenses. Property services, we've got one line item there that's just over that 17%, coming in at 17.1%, and that's the rent. That's just an additional month paid on the storage, not the rent of the property. But we have our storage facility out on Highway 50. We're going to be going through a transition into another one. We've agreed as a tenant to move into another location, allowing our neighbor to expand. So James will be working with the property management to make that happen over the course of the next month.
That was a question I was going to have during the P card. I noticed the storage. Okay. What do we just promotional marketing? What do we keep out there? Yeah,
during the winter months, we store the promotional marketing van, the Willies. There's stages and set for the epic rides. We also share the site with one of our nonprofit groups, Muscle Powered, and we provide storage for Nevada Day. We've got all of our archive data. It's pretty full. It's a big facility, and it's shoulder to shoulder.
I'm sure.
I think someday we'll have to do a tour.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
Continuing down. Under once again, staying though under property services, bottom line at 17%, we're at 16.9%, coming in at $20,295.94. Other services that includes everything from insurance, printing and advertisement, all the way down to any lodging and travel. Currently at 10.1%, coming in at $28,621.57. We've budgeted $284,450 under other services. The only line item in there that's red flagged is the top one under insurance, and we've prepaid for the entire year at 98.9%. So rounding up to $4,000 for the budgeted amount, not foreseeing any changes for what we've already paid for. Operating supplies coming in at 2.8%. The only expenditures in operating supplies were in 0625 operating of $2,181.63. Utilities, under the utilities, one item came in a little high at 18%, and that's the power, and I think that's just reflective. We budget the $3,700, but our power is just a little higher in the summer months because of the air conditioning versus heat. But that'll balance out once again just at 6.6%, coming in at $768.60. Bottom line, at 17% of the year lapsed, we're at 11.7% on our expenses. We've expended $89,110.75 of a budget of $763,219. The back page is just the worksheet that we use for taxation. Any questions?
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
None here.
If there are no questions or comments, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the adjusted fiscal year 19 budget report as presented through August 31 of 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. On to action item 8, to approve the CTA Statement of Accounts, payable checks and P-card for report for August 2018. Chris?
So the first page is, well, page 2 of 3 is accounts payable checks that were written August 1st through August 31st. The first of the bigger ones is the P-card charges that were reviewed last month from July 5th through August 4th. The next one down is the Carson City Square. That's the August rent for the Visitors Bureau. The next bigger one down is Epic Rides. That's 2 invoices for, we partnered with them for video media package with the Highway 50 grant that we got last year. So that's what that one is. Next one down is $3,896.10 for Gold Dust West. That was about 28 room nights for Epic Ride staff, entertainers, and influencers, which is part of our contract with Epic to supply some rooms. We also have the one on the very bottom for Wyndham. That's for, I believe it's about 21 rooms for the same kind of thing to help us with Epic Rides. Some of the properties will help by donating or comping rooms, but these we paid for. Next one down is our Conica, the July 26 through 8/25 maintenance agreement on the Duplo, and then the lease agreement for the printer and the cutter for August. Then we have Nevada Commission on Tourism, reimbursement of a grant that was overpaid. When they paid that grant, they actually paid the total that we had spent along, it's a matching grant, so they were only supposed to pay us, I think it was $3,000, and they ended up paying us too much, so we wrote them a check back for the difference. Next one down is the June payment for the lodging tax to the Department of Taxation. Then we have Momentum, photography and content writing through 7/25. That one consisted of some virtual map photos were updated, Concert Under the Stars, Rockabilly photos, let's see, a montage video, rack cards, all the other good stuff for all the events and everything like that. Then we have Resource Concepts is the next one that's pretty big, $792.17. That's for the trail development. The, what was it, about a year ago? 2 years ago, the board had voted to put $80,000 aside to help the trails buy a compactor for the trails, and then Muscle Powered came back and made the suggestion that they really didn't need a compactor, that testing and this kind of stuff would benefit them more. So this is kind of asset management for us. So that's wildlife and sensitive species surveys that the Resource Concepts is doing for that. Then we have travelers, $3,956, which is the insurance for this fiscal year. For the Willies, for the visitor center, for the employees when we're out traveling, that kind of stuff. Any questions on the AP text?
I know it's not a lot of money. It's about 2,500 in total, but I'm just curious, computer artistry, is that
That's
marketing, is that,
yeah, that's graphic design that Tara does. So that's, any of the stuff, anything that Lydia might need for her marketing pieces, anything James might need for rack cards, everything like that. So any kind of graphic design layout for a website and everything like that. And that's about a month's worth, so that's a steal of a deal.
So currently, of all of the subcontractor consultants, all of them work for the marketing, content creation for Nevada Momentum, with the exception of Tara. So she's the only one that you'll see as a separate billing.
Any other questions on that one? Okay, so the next page is the P cards. And these are running from August 4th through September 4th. We don't really have a whole lot of big ones on here. We had our normal Reach Local for those campaigns that Kyle was doing. That you guys, I think he talked a little bit about them before you guys left. We have a half-paid ad in the August-September 2018 Adventure Sports Magazine for $1,600. And that's pretty much it. There's not a lot going on the P cards this month. Do you guys have any questions on any of those, though?
No.
no, any other questions?
You guys are making it
Board?
easy.
Yeah. Don't get used to that, though.
I won't.
So, if there are no other questions, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the CTA account activity statement of accounts payable checks and P-card charges for August of 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to action item 9, for possible action to open recruitment for the CTA Executive Director position. Joel?
All right. So back in January of 2018, the board entered into a contract with NV Consulting with me as the manager to conduct a scope of work that included everything from preparing budgets to ending the contract with the successful completion of the strategic plan, 5-year plan, and then either a succession plan or a transition plan for your next executive director. Initially, I think that contract was set at 3 years. We drew it back to 2, finally got to the board and decided we would go with a 1-year contract. I had the opportunity to come back and preserve and protect everything that we as a group, that includes the board and all of the staff, were able to create over the course of the last 6 years. That being said, I think that it's time to preserve and protect by allowing the next mind to come in and move forward. We've done a lot of great things. We've accomplished a tremendous amount for this community. The rebranding effort, I think, was overwhelmingly successful. When you look at the room tax revenues nearly doubling in the course of 5 to 6 years, looking at the success of the properties and the businesses in this community, that transition plan we can't take lightly. That transition plan means that we need to continue to move forward as a bureau, as an authority. The community deserves it. The businesses certainly deserve it. The lodging properties and the staff, most importantly, deserve a successful transition. Knowing that this was coming, I've had the opportunity over the course of the last couple of months to kind of do a little headhunting. And I can tell you that while staying completely confidential because of the sensitivity of some of the people that may apply for this position, I think you will be overwhelmed at the level of applicants that you're going to receive when this opens up. I think that I'm very comfortable knowing that everything that I've invested blood, sweat, and tears into, that somebody's going to come in and be a much greater mind when it comes to the tourism aspect of what this position deserves. We've gone through a lot of greats, a few trials, a few bads, but overall I think it's been incredibly successful. My recommendation to you as a board is that based on the time frame of my contract with NV Consulting ending in January, that if we were to have Chris as staff start working directly with the City of Carson City, as you know, the interlocal agreement provides us the opportunity to utilize the HR department of Carson City. They obviously would be the group that we'd want to handle an open recruitment. I would suggest that you open up that recruitment as soon as possible. I think that would give you the opportunity of about a 30-day recruitment, opening up into interviews and getting somebody in by the end of the year, giving, hopefully me a couple of weeks with them in January before the contract dissolves. If there's a need after that fact, we certainly can address that. If somebody, based on their time frame of being able to come in with an offer of employment here, I certainly would work with you. But my intent would be to, at the end of this contract, the current contract in January, that I would not be looking at a renewal of the contract. That being said, I think that my recommendation would not at this time to be looking at anything more than a regional. Based on a few of the people that I've talked to and I know that intend on applying, I don't think you're going to get better applicants by spending money and going through a headhunting firm at this point. If you're not successful, you certainly can do the same thing that they did when I was hired. You went through that same search. It didn't work out to find somebody to take the position, and you went to another regional search. So I think I'd go just the opposite this time. I would do a 30-day recruitment utilizing the services of the HR department of the city, move forward, and hopefully you're going to get the applicant that you're very comfortable with to move the authority forward. So.
Comments from the board? Well, I'll start. Joel, I think everyone is very appreciative of, I look back at 5 or 6 years ago and I'm new to the board, but see where the tourism has come from then to now, and boy, it's come a long way. And you had a big hand in that success, and I think everybody's very appreciative of that. And although we'll only have a few more months to work with you, I'm going to cherish those times and pick as much of your brain as I can, because you've certainly been involved in everything for a long time. And I would agree that we start a regional search. And see where that takes us. Doesn't mean we can't go to a national search if we decide that we're not getting the applicants that we think are what we're looking for. But it sounds like that you've got some inside information that we might be getting some good applicants. So I hope that's the case. So with that, anything else?
I just want to say that you have covered a lot of ground, Joel, in the length of time that you've been are at the helm. And what used to be pitchforks in the audience doesn't exist anymore, and that's because of you. So thank you for that.
And I would just like to say, Joel, the fact that my experience has been with you reaching out to the Downtown Business Association really helped us go forward as well, and we continue looking forward to a long-lasting relationship with the CTA. So thank you for all your guidance and help, and you will definitely be missed. So until then, I'm going to pick your brain too.
And Joel, I'll say the same thing. A big reason that I decided to apply for the position on the board was because of what you and your staff have done over the past year, few years, and opening up Carson to all the assets that we have here. And so I thank you for that. And I too am going to continue to pick your brain. And I'm glad that we're going to have a really smooth transition. I think you deserve it. I think the new person coming in deserves that. So congratulations, and thanks for everything you've done.
Joel, one other question. Will we have the strategic plans in place so that the new person coming on has some some basis to work from?
Actually, I was going to cover that when I'm going to give you an update on the strategic plan. My recommendation to you, we're at 90%. So the process, for the record, and I know we've talked about this, that we've gone through for the strategic plan, we did a little bit differently than most. We first started with the stakeholder engagement, did the SWOT analysis. We had almost every one of our stakeholders that either created a visitor experience or had an impact on visitors in our community partook in that process. We came back to the board, the past board. Everyone did that same SWOT analysis. All of that's included in our current draft form. The only thing we're short on with the 90% right now would be that I think your new director needs to put their spin on, which is working with our new marketing manager. We've included all of the KPIs with the exception of the marketing manager. So my recommendation to you would be not to approve anything as far as the final. We can bring the draft in and look at the draft form and massage that again, or we can wait. But my recommendation would be to let your new director finalize that strategic plan. It's a 5-year plan that you would want to put in place January of 2019, and I think with that, the recruitment opening up now, you should have that opportunity. Probably be the first course of action. No differently than, we've already talked about needing to go out to an RFP for our content creation. That same process, I would recommend that you start and allow your new director to come in January and finalize that RFP process so they can select the content management. So that would be my recommendation to you. We're already implementing most of the strategies. Nothing's really going to change. I know at one time we talked about the importance of a strategic plan to give guidance to that new director. I don't think with the 90% in it now, I think that's already there. Yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Well, I would agree. Yeah, that last 10%, hopefully we get somebody in quickly and they have a chance to, kind of put their fingerprints on it also. So I think so. Any other comments from the board? If there are no other questions or comments, can I get a motion?
I move to open the recruitment for the CTA Executive Director position with the Carson City Human Resources Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to action item 10, to approve the revised job description, duties, and responsibilities for the CTA's Executive Director position. I don't know if you want to start, Joel. You've given us a nice job description, and I think there's going to be a couple, or at least one addition, but why don't we start with you and your thoughts on it?
So I do have a couple of changes, and then I'll turn it over to Chris. Chris handles all of the job descriptions and works directly with the city HR department, and has done with this one, so that we would be prepared to, with the accepting of the last agenda item, to be able to open up that recruitment. One of the changes that I think that we need to make and suggested is, first, when we're looking at the salary, when I had put in the salary range from $52.88 to $86.54, which would be reflective of $110,000 to $180,000 annually. That was based on the adjustment after we did a parity increase 2 years ago for the position when I was in the position. It went to the $52.88. But the motion that was passed, looking back, in a letter from the representing the board and what we had done in the board meeting from Jonathan Bower, the chairman at the time, dated July 21st, 2015. The recommendation was to approve an executive director range from $106,000 to $170,000, which would be reflective of an hourly rate of $50.96 to $81.73. So my recommendation, being that the board had only approved back in 2017 that range from 106 to 170, that we go ahead and change it, and unless you wanted to address the change, but I think that within that range you're definitely going to get the candidates you're looking for. So the change, once again, would be going from $52.88 as a starting hourly wage to $50.96, ranging up. What was stated as $86.54 would now be $81.73. The annual salary would start at $106 going to $170 versus what was stated at $110 to $180. Okay. Outside of that, I know that there was certainly quite a bit of changes that Chris was able to work with, not only with the Human Resource Department, but also with the DA's office, and I'll let her go over those.
So basically, Joel did the job description, and then we sent it over to Melanie Bruchetta, who's the director of HR. She helped me clean up a lot of the description and the essential functions and such like that. And then once she got done with that, she sent it to Ben and I, and then Ben made his adjustments. And so basically, I just cleaned it up and sent it your way because it was already. Do you have questions on it at all?
I have one add that I'd like to put in. Under essential functions, after paragraph 8, just a standalone statement so that it's very clear to the new person coming in, that states attends regular meetings of the city manager and collaborates with the city manager on administrative goals, objectives, and planning to ensure compliance with rules and regulations that pertain to governmental entities with which the CTA is a part. So that's the only add that I would like to see. Everything else I thought was good.
Okay.
Can you send us the wording?
I've got it right
here.
Yeah.
No, and I would agree with Karen. It's important that the new executive director understands, we have that two-way relationship with them, with all our partners in the city. So, no, absolutely. Any other adds or changes from the board?
No, I think that's a good addition, Karen.
Mm-hmm. All right, if there are no other questions.
Mr. Chair, sorry. Just one other change from the district attorney's office. I know that Chris and I were going back and forth along with the city manager's office, and I think I might have sent it to Chris too late to get into this, but adding, I believe, it would probably go under conditions of employment or just something on here that would alert the applicants that they're going to be selected during a public meeting so that they're, it is?
It is. That's the nature of work.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure where to put it, so I put it at the top.
Perfect. I overlooked it then. You can forget that. Sorry.
That's okay. No, but you're right. They should know that, and glad it's in.
So on that, just the potential applicants that I've talked to, that's exactly what I've explained, is that their entire process would stay confidential up until which time that the board, and the way it's been handled in the past, you as the board or the hiring committee, it will have to be agendized as a meeting. It will be posted, and at that time, they will become their name will become public. Okay.
Great. Any other changes?
No, none.
No other changes or questions. Can we get a motion?
I move to approve the revised job descriptions, duties, and responsibilities for the CTA Executive Director position to include the salary, hourly, and annual changes as reflected in the record, and also with the addition of the statement after paragraph 8 in essential functions.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to item 11, monthly non-action items for presentation and discussion only. The transient occupancy report. Joel?
All right. I'm sure all of you have received. It's submitted as late documentation that has been posted on the CTA website and is available to the public. Looking at the July 2018, so this would be the first month of fiscal year 19, room revenues. And once again, I want to make sure that we talked about this last month. So although if you look at room revenues and you see that we're seeing about a 4% decrease in revenues compared to 2017, that does not reflect a decrease in tourism. In 2017, we had a significant amount of additional revenue. In fact, we were up 24 up to 30% on some months because of the amount of FEMA contract workers that were in Carson City, and they were all paying room tax. If you look and do a comparison back through 2016 to 2018, we've seen an increase of about 25% on the trailing 12. So tourism has continued to increase on the same mark, but when you're drawing a comparison just back to 2017, it's really not a fair comparison with the amount of money that came in, not only with the legislative session in 2017, but primarily because of the FEMA, and all of our properties were impacted but with FEMA room nights. So So we're going down, top 5 properties for 2018 July came in at just over 1.4 million. That is a decrease of 4.4% reflectively of 2017. Now, once again, if you look at the top 5 properties, and as you know, we don't state the properties by name when we talk about revenue and we talk about average daily rate or any of them, but all of those properties had extensive FEMA room nights in 2017. Continuing down to the top 6 through 13 properties, this does not include the top 5 properties. They were down $47,000, coming in at $854,628.91. When you draw the comparison to 2016, jumping back to the top 5 properties, we were at 1.2 million, jumping to 1.48 in 2017, and now at 1.4 million. Once again, that would be reflective, minus FEMA and minus the legislature, of about a 6 to 10% increase annually since 2016. Going down to the bottom line, we came in at 2.4 million. We were at 2.5 million. That's a difference of 113,000, drop of 4.44%. Chris and I today went over and looked at all of the properties and looking at the room revenues. And once again, as stated last month, although most of the properties had small decreases, those that weren't, staying at the same level, we had 2 properties in 2 of our larger revenue-producing properties that were pretty significantly down again. And this is a trend for 2 straight months that we've seen. I'll look into it with Chris. We talked about, reaching out to the properties. We haven't had a lodging property meeting. But my guess, once again, is the fact that both of these properties did have, based on either their location or their available rooms and their average daily rate, a pretty big hit not having FEMA rooms for 2018. But we've done the comparison all the way down. The other side of it is we did get some additional revenue for the Tahoe property that we don't get throughout the year, so we have 2 months of that did boost us back up. I won't say the dollar amount, but it did boost us back up. Okay, continuing on, we'll go over to the average daily rate. Average daily rate actually increased for the top 5 properties, going from $112.73 to $113.04 for the top 5 properties for July of 2018. This one, and I checked all of it again, and we saw a significant decrease in the 6 through 13 properties, going from $69.38 dropping down to $47.27. We've never seen that big of a drop. I've never seen the mid-level properties drop below, we've been down to $54, I think, one time, and it was in the summer months. It was an odd time. Once again, this is one that we're going to have to reach out to individual properties to find out if there was a mistake in reporting or something that came in, but this is exactly how they were reported to us. Continuing down, you've got your RVs, and RVs showed a increase of $4.33. That's an increase of 12.7%, coming in at $38.44 per spot. Going down, you can see your room revenue comparisons for calendar year and fiscal year for 2018 to 17 and 17 to 16, and then once again 18 to 16. And you can see reflectively those increases that we saw. We saw a 24% increase in calendar year between 16 and 17. We don't see 24% increase without the FEMA rooms. We would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 to 11%. The legislative years, since I've been here, the most we've ever seen with an increase is roughly 5 to 6%. This last session wouldn't be any different. It'd be about a 5% increase for the legislative session. RevPAR, which is revenue per available room, there was a decrease in the top 5 properties, coming in at $90.88 of revenue per available room for the top 5 properties. Top 6 through 13, a decrease of $2.69 per available room, coming in at $47.27. Bottom line for all RevPAR, we were at $63.18 versus $64.47 in 2017. On the back, you have your occupancy report. Occupancy, we had 38,497 rooms available in July of 2018, of which 27,774 were occupied for a 72.15% occupancy rate. And once again, that reflects an increase over 2017 at 71.3%. Okay. So I wish there was a way to break out the individual impact that all of the properties felt on FEMA, but I know that our board members have talked about the impact to their individual properties, both this current board and the past board. So I certainly don't want no sense of panic. We're still progressing in the same manner. We're still seeing anywhere from about a 6 to 10% increase in revenue from tourism. That's still above the rest of the industry in our region. Everyone else is, seeing anywhere from that 3 to 6%. We will plateau. We will get to the standard increase that all the rest of the region's seeing, and I think that we'll continue to go up. In fiscal year 19, although we did a flatline budget, we didn't approve an increase in room revenue. I'm still anticipating that we'll see the region anywhere from about a 3 to 6% increase. Okay.
Joel, I have a question on the proposed new RV parks that are out there by the hot springs. Are those not 28-day stay, so that will boost room revenue?
So we had the opportunity to work with the developer and their representation and making sure that they understood what the requirements were for the 28-day plus. Although the majority of the rooms, in fact, if you stay on the back page, you can see that the breakdown of 28-day plus. Once again, per code, we do not collect room tax for any room that's occupied and prepaid for more than 28 days. The RVs make up the majority of that. Of the total of 19,000 28-day extended stay in July of 2018, RVs accounted for 8,935, and the rest, the 10,234. So you're talking nearly 50% are RVs. The nice thing with the new RV park is they're geared towards high end, and it's going to, at times, have people staying longer, but they're going to, my understanding in working with them, not accept any more than a 27-day reservation, and the requirement then would be to either not prepay or move the spot if they were to prepay. And it's going to be higher end. It's going to certainly draw a higher daily rate, and it will increase our revenues. The other properties that are online that are looking at building in Carson City are all going to probably bump someone out of that top 5 based on what I think their ADR will come in also. So it won't affect the 28-day plus. Okay.
I would certainly agree that it's not time to panic. FEMA skewed everything last year. But the one, and you brought it up, the average daily rate in the 6 through 13, that's concerning. And you brought up that we haven't had lodging property meetings, and I'm not sure if this is the time, but how do we kickstart that? Does it start at this process and we get those going again?
Yeah, we're going to look at doing them before the end of the year, maybe 1 or 2, so that we can introduce new staff, new marketing direction, talk about what's happening with the recruitment, because I certainly don't want the lodging properties. The lodging properties used to fill this room, and now the lodging properties are noticeably absent, and they're very pleased with what's been happening, and that was not only evident in the lack of their attendance here, but their lack of requiring and demanding lodging meetings monthly. I think the last meeting was attended by board member lodging properties only, and we simply could have done that here at the board meeting. I think that they need to be aware that we are transitioning, that we're going to continue in the same direction we've done for them the last 6 years. We'll set that up with staff over. I would imagine we're not going to be able to put that together until the end of November, early December, but we will get one before the end of 2018.
No, I get that sometimes if they don't show up, that means everything's going well. But I think it's always, we continue to make the effort, so we keep everything transparent with them, that we're trying to help them. Anything else, Joel?
No, that's it on the occupancy report. Staying on the non-action items, move to the grant update. So just want to do a quick update on the grants that we currently have open. And Lydia is becoming quickly up to speed on all of the current grants, and Lydia was instrumental in helping me author all of the additional grants, including there was one grant that James and I worked on for special events. But going down the line, our current grants, we have a $5,000 grant for website maintenance. That will be, once again, a $10,000 project budget, with $5,000 being reimbursed from Travel Nevada. That's actually going to provide us the opportunity. Lydia is going to work through the winter months in developing a new website. We've got a great website now, but there's, you need to stay up to date, and I think the video content that we're creating now with Lydia, and I think she'll go through that during her presentation, I think it's worthy of a redesign of our website. So that will certainly be provided through that grant. The second grant is a geo-targeted behavioral ad campaign. We were awarded $7,500, so the project budget will be $15,000. And if anyone's interested that's listening to or watching, or any of the board members, if you want more detail on these grants, I can provide you a scope of work for each one of the grants that I submitted with the grant application. The second grant, the current grant that's open, we have a $10,000 project grant for Nevada Magazine advertisement. And the final of the current open ones, a $16,000 project grant for Passport to Downtown. The Passport to Downtown is the event that the DBA put together during the ribbon cutting of Carson Street 2 years ago. It was overwhelmingly successful, and the decision was made to continue in that effort. And it just so happens that in year 3, we get to celebrate the ribbon cutting of Curry Street project for the Passport to Downtown. The DBA members have spent a lot of time, invested a lot of sweat equity in putting together an event that's attended by a couple of thousand people. They have a passport that they take throughout all of the merchants of downtown, getting a stamp. At the end, based on how many stamps they get an opportunity of thousands of dollars worth of raffle prizes. So I want to applaud the effort of the DBA, and we're working directly with the DBA with this grant. We're providing what we've provided in the past with the printing of the passports, some of the design work. In addition to that, meeting early before we put the grant together, we decided it would be advantageous to reach out to all the rural communities. Because it's the start of the Nevada Day weekend with the Friday for these events, we are printing. In fact, I think we're almost through printing all of the rural community mailers, and they've already, a portion's been sent out, I think, to the eastern side of the state, but it'll go to the majority of all the rural communities to drive additional room nights throughout the Nevada Day weekend, including the passport. So there's more in the scope of work for a $16,000 project, but that's kind of part of it. What's that?
It's only 12 for us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to meet half of that.
We have to meet, $12,000 for us. It's a $12,000 project, so it's one that we put in for less of a match. But now, the grants that we've submitted for the Cycle 2 2019, once again, this is the grant submittal is $5,000, but we're looking at a $10,000 project. The first one would be for our Spring-Summer Visitors Guide. The Travel Nevada has partnered with us the last 3 years on our redesign, of which is more of a kind of a coffee table piece. And I'll bring back in November, but we were awarded 2 awards at the Nevada Press Association, and because we're in the large market, we're up against the same type of publications from Las Vegas to Reno throughout the rest of the state, and we were awarded 2 first place awards for our visitors guides, which is unheard of. So continuing on, we've got a $2,500 grant application for video content update, and that'll be primarily for B-roll, not a lot of speaking is just to update all of our current inventory of videos. We have a $10,000 grant application for special event marketing. This is in conjunction with what we currently do with all of our special events. We're one of very few tourism authorities that provide marketing content directly to our event promoters. We decided 6 years ago that it was going to be advantageous to create content rather than having the event promoters creating their own content to market their events, and it's proven to be very beneficial. There's a cost to that, and we're asking for some reimbursement up to $10,000. Although we spend more than $10,000, we're looking at a $10,000 reimbursement for that advertisement. Social media advertisement campaign is a grant for $7,500, $15,000. Once again, the majority of these are things that we're going to do as an authority, even if we're not funded. That's always been my mode when I put in a grant. These are projects that we intend to do, and we're wanting the partnership more than necessarily needing the money, but we take the money and the partnership from Travel Nevada. We're looking at a $7,500 grant application, $15,000 project for micro-influencer engagement campaign. This is one that Lydia was pretty excited about. I think this will probably prove to be the most impactful of all of the grants, and whether we receive it or not, this is one that you'll be able to follow over the course of the next year with the little bit of change in our marketing. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Lydia can go into that one also. And the final is our uniquely local dining campaign. As you've seen, we've opened up a lot of additional unique to Carson City restaurants, not chain stores. And with that, I think that we're deserving of having a dining guide that will be in print form and, obviously digital form. So we've put in an application for $3,500 for a grant to put together a uniquely local dining guide. So those are the grants. Once again, I always anticipate, and we've always been very successful in getting Travel Nevada to partner with us on nearly every grant we've submitted in the last 6 years. I don't see any change in this one. The Travel Nevada does have a new grant administrator, and I know that others have been contacted with questions. We have not been contacted, so I think that's a good sign. Okay. Any questions on the grant update? All right. So moving on to the strategic plan update. We talked about that a little bit in the question during the recruitment for the manager. We're at 90%. We've brought it a couple of times. I know most of you as board members or new board members have taken the opportunity to come in, sit down, go through it. It has from page 1 talking about the formation of the Tourism Authority in 1968, how our room tax revenue is created, all the way to the stakeholder engagement, the SWOT analysis, how we're going to address our strengths all the way to our weaknesses, our threats, and our opportunities. We've included all of the KPIs that have been put in place for all of the positions, once again with the exception of the KPIs for our marketing manager, and we'll bring the strategic plan back in draft form when we get through the recruitment process. Okay. And with that, I can turn it over to the events update for James.
Thank you. First topic here is our review from the previous events that I've attended. The Stetna Sierra Prospect was the road cycling race that took place right before the Interbike event. It's a mountain bike or road event that takes place that starts off in Lake Tahoe, comes through to Carson City, passes through to Washoe Valley, and then back up to Mount Rose. It's a pretty strenuous ride for some of these riders, and as much as I would say I enjoyed watching people suffer, this one was pretty brutal at Mount Rose area. I want to highlight the quote. Peter Stetna, he's a professional cyclist. He's attended and rode, lived in Spain for a while, and did all the mountain or road races there. And he said this quote about Carson City, about our aid station. He says the Carson City aid station was the best of the day with a warm lawn, able-bodied and friendly volunteers collecting drop bags and providing food. I stayed twice as long there as anywhere, which is a great quote to highlight the efforts of not just only the CTA, but Muscle Powered, which also had a presence there. I wish I had the opportunity to take some photos, but I was too busy running around making sure that everything was in place. But it was a very successful event, gained lots of national exposure, so it gave us a footprint in that field. So it was great to participate in that. Interbike was also a very, very impactful event. There's so many cyclists, so many enthusiasts out there, so many types of bikes. It's pretty significant, the industry of mountain biking racing, which contributes to the impact of what our outdoor recreation has to offer. We had the chance to promote not only our trails here, but also the Carson City Off-Road for next year. So it was a great 3-day event to attend. Upcoming events, a couple of sports tournaments are coming up. Cookie's Best Soccer Tournaments, that is run by our local AYSO. They attract regional groups that come all the way from Mammoth and also parts of Lake Tahoe. So we're anticipating to have a decent size on October 20th for that. In addition, with All World Sports hosting their last tournament of the year, we're anticipating roughly 50 plus teams for that. I went on their website and pulled all the data from the people that are participating, and 30% of those teams are all coming from California. and Idaho. One thing to mention about this when I reference out of region, I mean specifically if they're coming from Sparks, if they're coming from Fallon, if they're coming from Reno, they're not counted as teams from coming from out of town. I consider them local in terms of room nights and occupation. Upcoming events, we are working closely with Martin Montgomery for his Nevada Day Powwow. This event will be taking place at the MAC. We've already printed a lot of the brochures for that, and he's starting his distribution for that. We're working closely with him as well as Scott Chapman, to make sure that all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So we're also working with the Boys and Girls Club to ensure that we have access to their facility for this event. Not only is he doing the powwow, if you look at it, it's kind of difficult to see, but he has 3-on-3 basketball outside at the Boys and Girls Club facility. They have horseshoe games, hand games. He has lots of events that are running continuously, in addition to a bowling tournament that he's doing at the Gold Dust West. So we're expecting a pretty sizable Native American community to show up for that weekend. In addition to that, Joel's already talked about the passports downtown. Shauna has been printing like crazy all week, last week, and continue on. Mike came and helped out a little bit on Saturday. So our machine is definitely getting its good use in the past week or so. In addition to this, we put together an RFQ, a request for quotation to all the lodging properties to see what their interest would be into providing a 3-day package stay for people that are willing to sign up early to attend this passport downtown. So that's our update. Any questions?
James,
Yes.
Back to the softball tournament, and you mentioned 30% are out of the region. And so is that the percentage is there a percentage you look for that we want? What are the typical numbers? So that tells me 70% of the teams are local, right?
Yeah,
is that typical?
our limit when we look at it is 10 teams. If we can get at least 10 teams that are out of town, that's like our base. So anything above that is something that we would consider good marks, high marks. Obviously, this one is unique, 30%, because there are some events that are a little bit lower, some a little bit higher. But we look at 10 teams in general that come from out of town to if you think about people that play softball, they play at various locations, and if they come from out of town to play the same teams that they played with in Sacramento, it's not really a good event for them. So for them to play new teams, we value the local teams attending these events.
So the local teams attract the out-of-town teams because they're tired of playing each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions for James? No.
All right. Get this switched over. I just want to say that I'm just extremely excited and grateful to be in this position. I truly feel like this is the most fun job that I could have ever gotten. And it's been a really, really fun experience so far, really getting to know the team and diving in and trying to make it as smooth transition as possible. So over the past 2 weeks, the most logical thing for me to look at that was the easiest and not as overwhelming with me asking a million questions was really diving into our social media, because I know that downtime that you have not posting can be kind of detrimental, especially when we're kind of coming into the Christmas season and that next wave of travel comes in and we're kind of slowing down a little bit. So we'll just kind of get started on some of the basics. I want to show you what I found in social media, but also where we're going and who our followers currently are on Facebook and Instagram specifically, because I think you'll be really intrigued to see who that is and who's following us and where we need to go from here. So to break it down into the categories, I'm actually going to start with Pinterest first because we didn't need to do a lot of updating on that. I did switch us over to a business page, which makes us basically just available to advertise and pay for advertising if we want to. It's kind of a newer feature on Pinterest. And surprisingly, we do have a lot of traffic that comes from there. So it's something that we might want to look into after Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, we started doing some live videos. I plan on going up in the hot air balloon for Nevada Day and testing that out, and just start doing that more frequently, because it does alert your whole follower base that you're live, and it just gets you more traction and more eyes on your page more frequently. I think posting every day is extremely important. Posting for the time of day and what content you're placing on that day is extremely strategic, and so I hope to bring that kind of strategy into all of our social media. We're doing really cool things with Nevada Momentum, making some great content videos, because video is king on all of social media. We get the most eyes on videos than we do anything else. So when you go into Facebook now, you can see that we posted a video on our Facebook cover, which used to be just a static photo, but we're going to make 4 videos for all 4 of our seasons that highlight in 30 to 45 seconds what we have to offer. It just gets your eyes going on the page, gets them to be there longer as well. And one of our big things that we're doing that I found in my previous experience is that giveaways, if you're looking to get more followers, which I think we sincerely need across all assets for us, is giveaways, and it's the cheapest and most effective. And so we've actually worked with Home Means Nevada or Reno Envy, whichever you like to call it. They're both, but we got some swag made to do some giveaways that I think will definitely get us some of the traction that we need. And I've got some of them here. Some of them are specific to Nevada Day. We're going to do bundle package giveaways. Share, like the post, follow our page, and I think that's really going to help. If we do that consistently once a month, people are going to be coming to look for that. And so these are some cool things that we've got going on the sleeve. We've got Nevada Day, we've got the seal, and then we've got our Carson City on the back. So we've got kind of that 3 branding on there. We got some without the Nevada Day, so we weren't dating ourselves either. We had the same thing in the hoodie, cool little Carson City on the back there. And then every person that I asked for feedback on what to get, all the women loved this one, which is called their Thistle shirt. And I think all of us would say, I would wear that. And you'll find that actually, when I get into some of the data, a majority of our followers are actually women. Anywhere from 60 to almost 70%, depending on which company or which outlet that you're looking at. So I think that those kind of incentives for people to come back to our pages are going to be really a key to success, to really get us past that hopefully 10,000 follower mark on all aspects. And I think with some of the things we're doing on Instagram, we're going to hit that pretty quick. So moving into that, our live videos are going to be important there, not only on the feed but also in the stories, using stories more, posting every day on that. And having more engagement. They have some cool features now that you can ask questions, get polls from your followers, and it makes it more exciting because it breaks that barrier. Like, you're actually physically interacting, not physically, but you are, in a way, interacting with them digitally in a live kind of moment. So I think that that's really been helping. And I added some cool highlights to our page so that people can see anything that I posted about fall or the farmer's market or outdoors or biking. It's always going to be there. And Instagram also has what they call IGTV, so we can have any video that we want that is 2 minutes or... if you post it on your feed, you only get a minute, but Instagram TV allows you to have more than a minute, so it's always lives on your page. So like I have the Ghost Walk video up there, I've got the Nevada Day video up there, and I can continue to post things so that we always have content and video content on there. And the thing that I'm most excited about is our influencer connections. You'll hear from anyone that's in the social media realm that influencers are the way to go. I've never specifically worked with someone in this kind of tourism capacity, but I found someone that I actually kind of stalk pretty frequently on Instagram, and she actually is from the Reno Tahoe area, and she has 10,000 followers and continues to grow that. And when I got into this position, I'm like, what a better way? She travels around the areas and just highlights all the best things about the area. I'm like, what another better way to do that? So we're going to partner with her. She's coming for the weekend of the Ghost Walk, and the St. Charles Hotel above the Fox actually donated some rooms for a giveaway that's going to help us gain a lot of followers. And they're also gave us some really great discounted rates for them to stay. She's bringing 5 other people with her who also have a great following. So we're not only just going to get her, we're going to get a wide reach of people that are in the millennial generation, that I think she hits really well. So I'm really excited to test that out, see how that goes, and hopefully continue that partnership with her, and then work with some other people as well, because I think that will really help.
Is stalking the correct term?
I guess that was not the most formal way to put that.
Stalk, is that okay with the district?
You pretty much do. If it's a daily thing and you look for it, there's a little bit. They just don't know about it. So that is something that I'm pretty excited about. So other projects in the works, I really want to tie in what we're doing with our digital marketing with the Sierra Nevada group, and tie that into our paid advertising that I'd like to do on social media, so that when we're targeting people in a specific group of people who are outdoors or mountain bikers, we're hitting them with a digital display ad on top of finding them on social media and getting just more impressions in front of the people that we're trying to target. We talked about the website redesign, that I think we're going to get some great content on that and just make it a little prettier and easier to look at, and be a little bit more user friendly. And then obviously the Nevada Day giveaways, which I spoke about already. So here's our social media profiles. To start with Facebook, I pulled from the week and a half that I started when I pulled this information in comparison to last year. These are sessions, meaning those are people who were on our website. We only got about 10 hits in a week and a half, and just by posting on social media as much as I was in that week and a half, we got 41. And you can see on the bottom there, that top one is Facebook, which is where that dark blue line is where it came from for that week of this year. We actually had quite a few from Twitter. That's something that I've been reposting and active on as well. And Instagram, we got some from Blogger as well. So that's just kind of a comparison of the power of social media if you're posting very frequently. So this is where you can see the breakdown in the demographics of men and women of who's following us on Facebook. So we're missing a percentage. I'm not really sure where that got lost in space, but the 68% of our fans on Facebook are women, 31% are men. And then you have that in comparison to who's actually engaging in our content and in our postings. And so 70% of that is women and 29% are men. So women are a little bit more engaged on top of just being on social media more frequently. And the next one are our fans here, and I just want to highlight here where our fans are coming from. So that second column, that top one says Carson City, Nevada, and there's 1,480 people. Everything else below that is in our region other than Las Vegas. We have about 86 people of our fans are from there. 4,200 of our fans are from the United States. We have very few from other countries. But you can see that it's all pretty local, which isn't exactly what we want. We want people from other states following us, saying, hey, I got to go to Carson City or check it out. I keep seeing about Carson City. So I think that with the paid advertising and targeting areas outside of us is really going to help with that reach. And then this is just from the September 5th to October 2nd time period. And so that's the total amount of likes in the upper left-hand corner was 55. Obviously, that's decreased from the month before that just because we didn't have someone posting very frequently at that time. But even without paying for anything, we still got 7,900 people that our content got delivered to and it reached, and then we had 2,900 engagements. Most of that was from the views on the Halloween Ghost Walk, or the Ghost Walk videos that we did in September. And you can see the videos obviously are very high, and then our page followers are about 55 too. So Instagram is really great at their content data and in their insights. So you can actually see on the left there are impressions of people who viewed these posts. These are actual pictures that I posted on the page. And so you'll see our most popular, most people reached, to the bottom there. So we do get a lot of hits on bikes for sure. And then some of this is content that people tag us in. So I requested that people tag us so we can actually use their content too. And I'm not just trying to create or go out and shoot a bunch of pictures or use what we've already had in the past. And that overpass picture was actually taken by someone and allowed me to post it. So I always ask before I do that. On the right-hand side is the amount of likes that we get on each picture. So that one was actually very popular. But any question on that? All right. And then the last one's here, the breakdown of the demographics by gender again. So on Instagram, we actually have more men, which I thought was actually really interesting. So 59% are women on Instagram that are following us, 41% are men, a majority from Carson City and Reno, which is obviously something that we want to work on. It even breaks you down by age range. So we get a majority of our people from 25 to 44 is who's looking at us frequently. And on the bottom right, those bars are when our followers are looking at our page and what day of the weeks are most popular. So Wednesday and Thursday, pretty much across all outlets, are the most popular days. And the last one here is I pulled this on a Monday, all this information, so I was curious to see what time of day that they were actually looking at our pages so that you can even show you when I need to post. So this data is pretty amazing and something that we'll continue to use to be more strategic about what we're doing with our social media. So I know that was an overload of information, but please, if you have any questions, please fire away.
Lydia, my only question is for cultural tourism. Are you going to be interfacing with Mark and Salinas with regards to promoting things that will be coming up? Okay.
Absolutely. So I've actually met with him already, and we have a lot of things in the works. He's going to actually tour me around town, get me more familiar with the art that's in there, and I definitely want to make that a rotation of what we're going to be posting. This was mostly just what was around me at the time and things that were kind of pertinent. So I definitely think that that's a huge important part of what our social media is going to bring, because it's a big part of what we have. So absolutely.
I was just, is Twitter us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instagram.
I think as far as where people are going to look to where to travel, I think Instagram is probably number one for the millennials up and coming who are going to be spending the money. I'm not saying that they're the only people we need to target, but they are going to be the largest part, and they're the ones who love to spend the most money on travel. So I think that it's important to target them first. But Twitter, I find, is extremely engaging for local things that are happening. And I think we're doing a lot of what they call listicles, so top 10 things to do in Carson City, the best hikes to take. So we're creating a database of those kinds of things that make people want to click on them. So I think that we can use that more on Twitter and make that more effective than what we've been doing. But it is actually what we have the most followers on is Twitter. Than the other ones. So maybe other than Facebook might have a little bit edge, but I find Twitter kind of a beast that I have to conquer yet, because I think there's a lot of information and posting 15 times a day is the recommended amount. So it's a lot to manage as well. So the strategy behind that I don't have quite yet, but I think I will moving forward once I do some more research on my end.
No, great report. I know this is your first official.
First official, meeting.
Yes. Great job.
All right, well, thank you.
Well, before we move on to the future agenda items, I want to say how pleased I am with Lydia's progression. She came in and there's zero learning curve. She jumped in, hitting the ground, directing staff and her, contractors of exactly what her direction was going to be. And you've blended in wonderfully. That's one of those. We've got a very tight team. It's a family, and you're well received. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
So do you guys have any future agenda items you want to see?
I don't know. I had mentioned to James about the possibility of wrestling. Have we gotten any traction with that at all, and can that be brought forward?
Not yet. I'm waiting to hear back, but sometimes things work this way, so.
That would be the only future agenda item that,
This is
I'd be
the
curious
state
about.
wrestling.
Right.
Yeah, that would be it.
I might have some information. I've heard a rumor that probably not till 21.
Oh, for the, I think the one, maybe it's too late for next year? Or
Yeah.
are we too late in the game? Is that what you're suggesting? Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard back yet, but.
Okay.
So, other than that, we have no future agenda items you guys want. So the next one will be, the upcoming meetings will be, it's not going to be our normal Monday, so it's going to be Monday the 26th, because our normal Monday is a holiday for November. So 11/26 at 4 PM.
All right, on to item 12, any other board comments or announcements or requests for information by any of the board?
None.
All right, I'll ask one last time for any public comment out there. Hearing no public comment, we'll have for possible action to adjourn. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.